welcome to the Prickly Pear Show. I'm Ron Furman, the host. This is a very special show. I'm here alone, here to answer some questions that you guys may have. First and foremost, I want to wish all the beautiful mothers out there who do so much for us Happy Mother's Day, Yom Sameach. Wishing you the very best, and of course, may your children give you the love and respect that you deserve. This is a very different show than what we've had before. As you can tell, Lee is no longer with us. Want to wish Lee the very best. Lee has her own podcast that she's working on. I think it's called The Virgin and the Whore. It is something more along the lines of what Lee is used to. As you know, this show is more about talking about the prickly things and also finding the sweet things. So it's not necessarily just about having fun. Of course, that is main goal, and we hope that we get to interact with you. So today what we plan on doing, really, this is the first time for me that I'm sitting in front of a camera like this and having you guys tune in. I wanted to ask the fans or those that are, have nothing to do on a Sunday night to ask us a few questions, or to ask me a few questions about how you want the show to be, what type of guests you're looking to have. From what I gathered over the past month or so, our audience is looking for more controversial topics, to have more interaction with the guests that we have here, not just the write-ups on the side. So we're looking to get a phone number for you guys to call in and hopefully ask your questions. So today it's going to be a little bit weird for me because I'm not used to talking to a camera with nobody next to me. So I'm going to be sitting here, I guess, in front of you answering some questions. So it's going to be a little bit boring for a little bit, but I want to make sure that I can answer any questions you may have. I see we have Ron CD, Ophir Geek, Shirley Brenner. Oh wow, we have a celebrity who's watching right now. Hi Shirley, all the way in Los Angeles. So if you guys have any questions, please ask away. We're here for you, and I want to make sure that this show is, Aiden says hi Aiden. I want to make sure that you guys get the opportunity to really build the show with us. As I said, the goal of this is to highlight everyday heroes. There's so many people out there doing amazing things. However, a lot of the stuff that we keep doing is very controversial to others, and we want to be able to break through them by having those hardline questions. So if there's any questions out there from our audience, I don't want to be sitting here wasting dead air. So if you guys have any questions, please ask away. What type of guests do you think we should have on the show today? Not today, meaning from now on. If there are any suggestions, please let us know. We're here for you. I see that my dad just clicked on. Hi, Dad. Say Happy Mother's Day to Mom. Wishing her all the best. Sorry I couldn't get a chance to see her. My parents were up north, so we didn't get a chance to have our usual Mother's Day dinner. So please, guys, the floor is yours. Ask your questions. Let us know how you want the show to be, what kind of questions we should be asking, what type of guests we should have. The floor is yours. Anthony, what do you think? So we have Anthony, the producer here. Finally, he's on the show. Last week he wasn't here. Anthony, what do you think the show should be like? Is there any suggestions that you have while we have people coming in but not actually writing?
Any suggestions?
Any suggestions? Anything that you think we should be doing? Something that we're not doing right, something we're doing right. Any questions about Lee, questions about, anything that you guys want to know, please ask away, because that's really what the show is going to be about this week. Anthony, you could talk. It's okay. You finally have a voice. You can express yourself. What do you think we're doing right this far? What do you think we're doing wrong? What do you think we could do with the show?
Well, for once, we could change the host.
Change the host. Well, we've done that, so she's gone, so that's good. I'm joking, Lee. By the way, this was, just to put it out there, this was nothing personal. Lee and I are still very good friends. It's just sometimes when you're working with someone and they have their own direction, you have your own direction, things don't tend to work out. But Lee, I just want to let you know that we really appreciate your time on the Prickly Pear Show. She's currently in Niagara Falls celebrating her boyfriend's birthday, so happy birthday to her longtime boyfriend or hubby or whatever he may be. But as I said, this show is really about you guys. I see people tuning in. Vivian, Nicole Tesler is here. Jody Share Clever. Oh, wow, we have people from Los Angeles tuning in. Congratulations, Jody, on your newborn. Wishing you all the best if you're still tuning in. I see my aunt is on. Oh, my other relatives today. Relatives, you guys have nothing to do today? You guys are never really on. So, again, any types of questions, suggestions, I'm here for this. We're literally going to dedicate the next half an hour to having the conversation with you. I'll give you my suggestions while people are writing because I don't want to have dead air. What I think we should be doing is having a little bit more serious conversations where it's not just a talk, but we try to really find a solution at the end of the show. The one thing I think that we're lacking is that we have, all these amazing talks, and then people leave here and we never see them again, and we have no idea what they're up to. But if we actually set some sort of a plan, like a plan to action, sort of a proactive way of advocating whatever it is that our guests are doing, we'd be able to at least assess, the worth of the show. So, I want to do something that's a little bit more impactful. For example, right now there is an anti-Israel event that's happening for Israel's 71st birthday here in Toronto. And a lot of the problems that we keep having is that people want to go out and, basically protest without trying to cancel, due to freedom of speech laws, etc., etc. But I believe that there's a difference between freedom of speech and hate. And when you yell and say that you want to kill anyone, if you say racist remarks, I think that's kind of where you draw the line, or we should draw the line. When someone is spreading complete lies, there should be something or someone that should be looking after that. So a lot of people are telling me that we should go out and protest. And I think it's wonderful. Protesting is a wonderful thing because you're showing another side. But it can't just be this back and forth of them protesting, we're protesting. They're protesting, we're protesting. There needs to be something a little bit more. And I think the government of Canada should get involved. Also the American government should get involved with the type of protests that are actually happening. Because there's a difference between, as I said, hate speech and just people going out there, promoting what they're doing. And if you really take a look at it, on the 71st birthday of Israel, people are out celebrating Israel. No one is talking about the Palestinian situation. No one is talking about wars. People are merely celebrating their country, the Jewish people having a state for themselves after the Holocaust. And yet you have the other side who, all they're doing is not promoting, peace or promoting, their own achievements. It's more along the lines of trying to take away from ours. So I don't want the show to really be about just the Palestinians, Israelis. Clearly it's something that's close to me, and that's why I express my opinions, but I care about many different things. I'm just, this is my micro, and of course I have my macro life that I care about many different things. I'm what you call, I don't know when to say if I'm a libertarian, because I'm not, too much because I don't fall into anything, but I'm very, I care about social issues, but when it comes to foreign affairs, I think I'm a little bit more conservative. But I believe most people should be like this, but I can't clearly tell you how to think. But this is why we have this floor for us to be able to talk. So people are saying they agree, but I want more than just to agree with me. This is about how do we shape the show. If you have any suggestions, types of guests maybe you guys can help us bring here. I get many phone calls, people saying, oh, you should have this person on the show, which is wonderful. However, once we reach out to that person, they're unavailable, they don't want to come out, so it's really been on my shoulders. So before you suggest someone, why don't you maybe ask that person and then have them call me. And so I'm just going to give you my number out there. So it's 647-326-9868. Again, 647-326-9868. You guys can call in, ask any questions. I'd love to hear more from you. So let's see what we have. Do we have any comments aside from? Oh, I see Noah Grad is on. By the way, my friend Noah has an adorable dog that she's looking for a home for. I mean, it's the most beautiful dog. I want him, but I don't have space for the dog. Hopefully, within 2 months, things will shape up. But if anyone's looking for a dog, that's another way to help. We don't want to send the dog to the pound. We have Lior. Hey, Lior, friend from high school. This is wonderful. Like a lot of people are popping up from history. So I don't want also the show to be just about our community. I think that we can deliver these messages abroad through the show. This is a passion project for me. As most of you know, I did a film about mental health a while back and things did not work out as I expected. I'm not going to get into the politics of it. But I made a dedication that I will at least speak my mind and be out here and try to be creative as much as I can in front of you, the audience. But since I know that I might be boring and it's, it can't just be about my stories, and the truth is, I don't even like to hear my own voice, although I have a voice. So it should be more about the people that come on the show and talk to us. Yes, there's a Walk for Israel on Monday, right? So there's a Walk for Israel on Monday. Thank you very much for letting us know, Orna. The Walk for Israel is an annual event that we have here in Toronto. I think we have about 20-somewhat thousand people that join, probably more. You can help me with the numbers. But it's an amazing event. And on that day, by the way, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be protesting the 71st birthday. Some of the misinformation that's out there, is talking about occupation of 71 years. It's very interesting because how, people can change history. I'm going to talk a little about that because I spoke to a friend of mine the other day who misunderstood, the word Palestine. And there's a lot of people there that don't get where that word really came from. So whenever they're referring to anything in Israel, or Palestine pre-1948, they think that it belongs to the Palestinian Arabs. But in reality, it's not even the truth. The Palestine Post, for example, was the New Jerusalem Post. Palestine was just the name of the area. We could have called it blah blah. And even in the 80s, it was never referred to as Palestinians. It was referred to the Arab-Israeli conflict. The whole idea of the Palestinians came way later, funny enough, after Shamir began the peace process and with Rabin continuing it in 1993. So the word Palestine, just imagine that again, the name is just blah blah. And there were Jews who lived in blah blah, and there were Arabs who lived in blah blah. Once the Jews decided to have their own state, after not decided, the UN made a resolution, there were wars that were fought, the Holocaust happened, but the reality is there were two people that were living in one country, and they made a decision, the world made a decision that they should split it. For those that think the Jews were not there, you're completely mistaken. Just think about it. Tel Aviv is over 100 years old, and yet Israel is 71. And Tel Aviv doesn't sound like a Palestinian word, and that's a new city. You're talking about, David's castle. You're talking about so much history. We're finding out every day about the truth about who really belongs there. Now, no one is denying or wants to really kick out the Arabs, and we could see that because Israel itself has 20% Muslim population. And what's the percentage of Jews living in Palestinian territories? 0, unless you're going to say, well, the settlements. Well, nonetheless, there's a lot to be said here, but what I want people to understand here is that you need to fight those lies and you need to find your way to advocate for the state of Israel. Again, this is a passion thing for me, and this is why I'm talking about it right now. That is not my goal to just talk about Israel on a regular basis, but my goal is to educate, and this is what I know. I would love to debate anyone who wants to come on the show and give me a different perspective. It's probably the only way to learn. For those that don't know me, I read Al Jazeera and Jerusalem Post and Washington Times and the New York Times and the Star. So even the papers that go against what I believe in, I read it. I used to go out to many different events that featured anti-Israel people, such as Ilan Pape, Norman Finkelstein, Noam Chomsky. So many people, and I was in the audience asking the questions and getting furious just like anybody else. But I'm out there, and I'm out there to advocate. Last week we had a little bit situation during Holocaust Remembrance Day where I posted something. I already went through it, so I'm not going to really get into it. But the idea is as long as you're advocating, you're moving things forward. And I want to let everyone know that you should find your way of advocacy. You should find your way to advocate what you believe in. I don't just mean you should find what you believe in, but find what is it that you're good at. So for example, if you're a great artist, so why don't you create some art, that visually shows people what's happened in the conflict? Because if you right now were to YouTube Israel, you're going to be seeing that about 90% is going to be anti. You're going to put the word Palestinian and you're not going to see anti. Well, when you're seeing, you have Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Al-Aqsa Brigade, Al-Qassam, Fatah al-Islam, like you have all these terrorist organizations out there, and you're talking about killing machines who are hurting their own people, and yet there's no hatred that happens there. And we're talking about Israel that tries to defend itself. Everyone has an opinion. So I urge you to find your way to advocate. And again, if it's writing letters, if you're in politics, if you have an arm, go to a protest, lift the flag, do something. But the idea behind what we're trying to do is really advocate for what we believe in. I'm an animal activist, so I try to go to different pounds and help out I want dogs to be adopted, cats, all types of animals. I care about the environment. I may not be a little bit loony about it, but I do care, and I try to do my part. Even in my office, we have a blue bin, a green bin, and a garbage bin, where everybody knows when you're in my office, you're going to be throwing stuff in the proper place. I should stop buying plastic bottles, but unfortunately, it's the only thing I can bring into this office. But I'm doing my part, and you should be doing yours. So I'm going to be looking at the side here. Do we have any questions? I see Dave Gordon on, some students of mine, Stephen, Michal, Rena, beautiful. Hi, Dave. How are you? Dave Gordon, a great writer, actually wrote and interviewed me many, many years ago about the type of stuff that I'm doing in the community. And Dave is a big asset to our Jewish community here in Thornhill, here in Toronto. If you have any questions, Dave, specifically you, because I know that you're very involved, we're doing a community, what type of show would you like to see in the future? Today is really a one on everyone, so we can have that interaction. We really want you, the audience, to shape our show. I feel that sometimes overbearing with my views, and it's not fair for you, the audience, to just hear my positions. And I'd like to make this a little bit more interactive so people can really learn from this experience. I keep using my hands a lot. As you can see, that is my Israeliness. I have no Italian in my blood. That's how we speak. I could see myself, after I talk. Anthony, anybody saying anything? I just can't scroll down. Oh, Vivian. Could you read what Vivian said, please?
It says, Ron, I feel you have a very informative viewpoint on Jewish history.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice is strong. Education is necessary. I would love to hear more of this. I know this is not your goal. However, this is strongly needed now, before, and in the future.
Thank you, Vivian. Absolutely. I mean, there's no question that we need to advocate. I'm just going to make a comment about that. I wasn't always an advocate. I mean, I just happen to be Israeli, and I happen to be Jewish, and I wish that I didn't have to be an advocate. I wish that I could talk about other things. However, when do you advocate? You advocate when things are usually bad. The unfortunate part about Israel is that it's always been bad since 71 years or even before, and we're lucky that we get an opportunity to just advocate. We're not going through a Holocaust. Yes, there is anti-Semitism that's on the rise, and we see pockets of terroristic activities happening here and there, but it's still not here. We still have the power to make those changes. I remember in Holocaust class that I took in high school, my teacher asked, what would we do if we met Hitler, the art student? Hitler was an art student before, or the artist before he became the Führer of Germany. And would I have killed him, or what would I have done to him, knowing that he existed and what he did? Well, right now we have this opportunity, and we're not talking about killings. Clearly, this is not where I'm going with this. But we have a chance to really make an impact. Because we have, governments in England that are very anti-Semitic now, and you never know where this thing can go. You have, France, causing a lot of problems, Belgium, Germany. Anti-Semitism, as I said, is on the rise. And, I can understand it coming from the Arab areas. But when it comes from Europe, there's something more to it, because you can kind of clearly understand that when it's coming from the Middle East, they've learned it, and they didn't have the same education that Europeans had, especially about the Holocaust. And no one is really going to be sitting with somebody in Saudi Arabia and going to have that conversation. Whereas if you are located in Germany, clearly that conversation is going to come about. And I just want us to be able to voice our opinions, for us to be able to go out there and not to be afraid. All throughout my high school, some people know I used to wear a huge Star of David. I remember going to Israel and people asked me if I wear this in the States or in Canada, and I said proudly, of course, who's going to do anything to me? And today, to be quite honest, I don't know if I could say the same thing. That doesn't mean that I'm afraid to put Star of David or on myself, but if I'm traveling, that is probably something I'm not going to do, because I don't want to cause attention to myself based on the tensions. And that is pretty sad. Places like Saudi Arabia, where you can only bring anything Muslim, like you're not allowed to bring anything with it from a different religion. You kind of know what you're getting into. But there are many countries that are very open to everyone else, but in reality, behind the scenes, not everybody's open to it. And it's a big problem that we have to hide ourselves, because we should be Jews, we should be proud, and anybody should be proud of who they are. Even if you're Palestinian or Arab, be proud of who you are. I'm full support I'm in full support of people, speaking up for themselves, as long as you can do it in an eloquent way and have a conversation. However, I'm afraid that pretty soon we're not going to have a nice conversation when it comes to the Middle East conflict. It's going to become something a little bit bigger, but that's my personal opinions. Okay, so now we have something from Noah. Can you read what Noah is writing?
So she said, I think you should use your platform to engage with the community about issues.
Beautiful.
Things that are hot topics at the moment are late-term abortion.
Ooh, that's a hot topic.
Anti-Semitism in the... I don't know.
Noah, I'm not sure if that's such a hot topic for me personally or for many people in the community, but this is definitely a conversation to be had. I'd love to have you on the show if you want to talk about it. I know how strongly you feel about this. But I would definitely want to get into things that really reflect our community. And there's sort of a game that I found the other day. It's called Agree to Disagree. A wonderful game. And basically they have different type of topics. And you take a position on any issue. Even you could take the same position on things. But the idea behind it is to really have a conversation to break it down. So things like late-term abortion, anti-Semitism in the diaspora, election in Canada, very important. We always talk about stuff like this: carbon tax, transgenderism, education cuts, education in Ontario. I'd love to bring all these conversations to the forefront, but we need to have the proper people sitting here. Noah, you've been a big advocate of the show and pushing me to talk about these issues. The difference is I'm not so connected to them, and I don't feel like I'm very well versed or educated when it comes to many of these topics. I know that I know a little bit to be able to have a conversation, but I don't think I could be the real educator. Thus, I'd like to have people coming on the show who do represent a position, maybe two different people representing two different positions, but really it's about us having that dialogue. We have a platform now. We have Facebook Live, we have YouTube, we have a way to do more outreach, and I believe that I'm trying to utilize this format to educate the masses and hopefully entertain at the same time. Something to put out there, I'm considering doing a show that is a little bit more politically driven, and maybe we'll sway a little bit away from politics when it comes to the Prickly Pear Show. And it's called No Politics, No Religion, no with a K, meaning you need to know politics, you need to know about religions, because the bottom line is the more you know, the better off you're going to be. And when things come up, you're not going to be shocked that they're happening. Now, it's not going to change the situation, but only you can make that difference. So don't just sit there and, express your opinion and not do anything about it, or sit there and say, that's just how it is, but try and engage the public, because it starts with you. And I think we all know this. We have Riva. Hi, Riva, and Revi. Have yourself, and Anna. Happy Mother's Day to you. We have David, the entertainer. Hi, David. I could see everybody that's joining us. Really, really happy to have you today. As I said at the beginning of the show, this is about interaction with you, the audience. I want to know even what you think about the backgrounds. What do you think we should do? What should we keep? We tried many different styles. We had prickly pears in the background. We've had Toronto. We want you, the audience, as I said, to shape this so it becomes more of a community-based show where I can help the community. So I remember back in the day, there was like a Rogers Television, and on Rogers Television there was a community television thing. Also from Married with Children, I remember when Christina Applegate had her own show and became popular. Well, we're trying to do something very similar, but hopefully we get to not only discuss, but also entertain. So if there are any suggestions out there, please let us know. I've been speaking for 24 minutes on my own with a little bit of help from Anthony. And but please, if you guys have any questions, any ideas. By the way, Noah, great ideas. I am totally with you, and it's the direction that I want to go. I'm just not quite sure how we're going to pull it off, but everything is in the works. So Noah
said, you don't have to be an expert. You could invite your guests to interact and get a feel of how the community feels.
And I'm totally about that. Noah, thank you again for joining us. I'm all about having that interaction, but we need those guests. We need those experts. The problem that we've had in the past is literally every guest that has been on the show, I kind of have a connection to. And it seems like it's almost as if I'm pushing my own agenda, or I agree with everyone on the show. It's totally not like that. I have friends from the left, from the right, from the center, but I want to have the experts who can come on the show. We have, for example, Lisa Cohen that I would like to bring on, who is an expert on mental health, and everything that she's dealing with. She's someone that I look up to. Noah, I think that you have a lot to offer when it comes to, you didn't agree with me. Didn't agree with you on what? On the fact that I'm an expert? Sorry, I'm just seeing that that Noah's writing. I definitely want more people to come on who maybe even have an outrageous idea, but we want to be able to hear it. We want to be able to have those types of conversations. That's what thing we can do. When I was on the show, you didn't agree with me. Please tell me what. That you were on the show a while back. So now just tell me why don't you tell me what it is that we disagreed on? And that's completely okay, by the way. As I said, we don't have to agree on everything. I know that you were saying before that you want us to really deal with the community, but I want the outreach to be a lot more than just the Thornhill, Toronto community, even though, interfaith marriage. Yes, that's correct. We disagreed. We talked about interfaith marriage. I don't have to agree with it. I think that it's absolutely, you can laugh. I don't have to agree with it at all. I respect it. I think everybody should do what's good for them. But that doesn't mean that, like, for example, if someone were to tell me, this is from a Seinfeld episode, that soup is a meal, I'd say it's not a meal, it's a starter, right? It's not really a meal. I can't say that I really ate. It's almost like I drank something. But some person could say, well, it depends on the soup, right? The whole Seinfeld conversation. So we can agree to disagree on that. So when it comes to if you really want me to get into it, the interfaith marriage, I am not an advocate for it. There's a reason for it. We have 13.4 million Jews, and we have to keep it together. And the statistics actually say that those that are intermarriages, their kids, are not going to follow Judaism. And I care about that. I think it's important. I'm not married right now, and I don't have any kids, and I'm just expressing my opinions on how I was brought up. But I'm never going to tell somebody that they shouldn't. My own sister is married to a non-Jew. My own cousin is married to a non-Jew. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it. Do I love them? Of course I do. But it's up to my sister and my cousin to be able to raise their kids Jewish, and to give them that opportunity. And maybe to some it's not as important. To me it's important, and I'm not going to shy away just because someone disagrees with me. I'm not religious. I don't go to synagogue. I'm just traditional. Do I know a lot about Judaism? Yes. Do I know a lot about Christianity and Islam? Yes. I can have those conversations too. But, I believe that our people should kind of stick together, but that's totally my belief. I grew up with this. I am from Israel, and that is how, we kept together. What do you think Birthright is all about? Those free trips are not just free. When you're thinking about the catch, well, the catch is for you to be and interact with your own people. It's we're people who are living in the diaspora. We live all around the world, and what brings us together? The fact that we're Jews, the fact that we have similar traditions, we have a language, we have a history, we have traditions. We have so much in common. But again, maybe it's not for everybody, and love is just one of those things that if you can't choose who you really fall in love with. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But if you're asking me for my personal opinion on that, I will tell you that I am not for it. But again, that's purely my opinion. I see it, and again, you're talking about from something. So no, by the way, Dimitri, I'm gonna get to you. You're talking about from your own perspective and how you raise your kids, and yes, you have that responsibility. But at some point, your kid will make up its own mind, and just because they went through the whole Jewish education and whatnot, doesn't mean at one point they'll say, you know what? I met a guy who's Italian and I want to be with him, or even your son, meets an Italian girl, and then it's done, and then forget it. He's going to have kids, and they're not going to be Jewish. So again, I'm not here to cause problems. This is not a topic I really like to get into because, I love everyone, and it's got nothing to do with it. But for me, raising kids Jewish is very, very important. And I don't want my kids to ask me, who do I belong to, or people think I'm different. And I don't want to create those problems for my kids. But between you and I, as I'm dating, I do not care whether someone is a Jew or a non-Jew. I'm not sure if I'm going to have children. Who knows what's going to happen out of this? But if I were to plan to have kids, then I would like to raise them in a Jewish way. And again, that's just my way. That doesn't mean I'm not going to tell them about Christmas or Ramadan or whatever it may be. By the way, I don't know if you could say, can you say Happy Ramadan? All right, can you say that, or do you say like
It's Ramadan something.
right? Ramadan. I don't know. I think the word is Mubarak, right? Like a blessed Ramadan.
Yeah.
Whatever. So happy Ramadan. I don't know if that's the proper way to say it, but happy Ramadan to all our Muslim friends who are out there watching. But again, this is just purely my opinion. I'm never going to be a judgmental person, as you know. Though I'm never judgmental with you, and I mean, I teach your kids Hebrew, so clearly you care. And I'm just talking about those that don't have the same opportunities. You should get guests with two different opinions, yeah, and let them have a dialogue and get public opinion who wins. I don't really want to have a winner. I don't think that's really what it's about. By the way, Dimitri, thank you very much for your opinion. Yes, we want to go that direction, but it's not really about winning. I think it's really about having that discussion. And I would love to have, definitely two sides debating one another, having a conversation that leads somewhere. For example, when I used to teach in Los Angeles, I remember traveling to, where was it? Oh my God, it's basically Northern California. And I went to one of the schools there, and the Jewish group never had an opportunity to speak to the pro-Palestinian group. It was huge problems. And on the day that I came to have a conversation, the pro-Palestinian or the anti-Israel people decided to come and join my talk. So clearly I had to change a little bit of my views. Not my views, but like my topics, what I wanted to share with them, because I wanted to have more inclusive conversations. And after my speech, and I think it was about an hour and a half of a nice talk, or debate or whatever it may be, the anti-Israel people and the pro-Israel people were able to somewhat work together and create a cultural event. Is that going to bring peace to the world? Absolutely not. But it's a starting point. And you know what? When you go to school, you don't want to see all this hatred. Yes, school is a place for opinions. Berry Hall, for example, York University, a place where people have diverse opinions and great conversations. But it can't just be about just those conversations. There needs to be something that leads towards something positive. A way to work together. Can you tell me some of the other comments? It's just hard for me to read from here. Well, Ramadan Mubarak. Hey, I was right. Okay, there you go. That's true for. So no, what did you say? That's true for everyone. I'm trying to figure out, because you're making comments, and I'm kind of losing a little bit knowing what you're talking about exactly. We're talking still about best shot by Kawhi. I'm not watching the game, but I'm guessing that they're winning. I don't know. I'm not a Raptor fan, although I love Toronto, but I wish them the best. Clearly, I'm not watching the game. We have Sophie, we have Jordana, and Natalie Sella, or we did have. Okay, Vivian is writing something. I feel this is about enlightenment, not a winner. Value exits. Exits in diverse opinions, solution-oriented thinking on both ends. That's exactly what it's supposed to be about. I don't think there should be a winner. I don't like even the idea of that, even though I love competition. This is not really what it's about. It's about having a civil conversation, bring points, but calling people out. When someone is lying, when someone is trying to cheat you, the person being educated, I feel like it's not fair. And a lot of the people out there don't have the information. Now everybody knows, if I started naming, 48, 56, 67, 73, 79, 82, if I started naming these years, they might mean nothing to you. But there's certain people who are out there who are just going to be able to have that conversation, give you the years, and you're lost in a conversation. It's about talking about real people and real solutions. It's about really moving forward. And that's really the goal of what we're trying to do here. If we have less, more proactive activities with our Muslim brothers, with the Christian community, then we're better off. But if we are closing ourselves off and, all we're doing all the time is defending ourselves, well, there's no way that we can win this PR battle. I always say that a good defense has a very good offense, because there's no way that you can fight a war or anything by just putting your hands up. What do? You're just going to expect someone to be tired and stop hitting you? You have to be able to hit back, and no one's clearly talking about violence. We're talking about conversations. We're talking about having dialogue when it comes to these various issues. Hopefully in a good setting where it's just a regular conversation. Before I get into what Noah is saying, I remember many years ago, this is when I went to York University, there was a huge battle downstairs, battle of ideas, and there were about, I would say, 20-1 anti-Israel people that were downstairs, and I got a call from someone, please come downstairs, they need you to come and talk. And I went downstairs and I started to debate most of the people that were there. And a lot of the people that came to talk to me had very wrong information, and they were called out. And I'm not one to be afraid, especially when I'm talking physically. I can probably protect myself also, but this is not going to be a physical thing, especially being at university. But the conversation that we had, I thought was going to lead somewhere. Towards the end, after battling, oh, nice, Raptors won, congratulations. By being there, the goal was to show our side and to not be afraid to speak in Israel's behalf. It was very important for me to step up and talk. And I remember at one point I was talking to an Egyptian person who was very level-headed, and we had a great conversation that didn't have too much yelling. It was giving facts and really trying to come up with some sort of solution. At the end, they took a picture of both of us, and we're both doing the peace sign, and it just became, I remember people clapping. It was actually, it started off horrible and it became amazing. As I said, we took pictures and we shook hands and people were clapping and everybody went away. And about 2 weeks after that, there was an organization that started, and I was kind of at the beginning when it was called Shalom Salam, which we wanted to bring in the Arabs and the Jews to come together and talk. So we decided to do it, like inside the university, and for us to talk after school. So the Arab side decided to have the meeting in their room, which was totally all right by us. We were very welcome. But as I walked in, I saw our picture, mine and the Egyptian guy, and there was a target sign around my face, and it said, "Whatever you do, do not talk to this guy." And I got to be honest. Clearly it was made by some moron, so I'm not going to blame them for that, or like say that, they don't want peace. I don't like even to use the word they. But clearly there was something to be said about that, and it really made me feel upset, because here I thought we're kind of moving forward, but we're really moving backwards. And what it showed me that there are many people out there that don't really care, and they're going to continue to spread their propaganda. And some people can call my information propaganda, and I welcome it. I mean, if you call it, but please tell me what is it that I said that is propaganda, and I'd love to have that conversation. I'm not always right. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I do know that my side always goes, with the good, and we try our very best to help. And just look at what we're doing around the world. Look at what we're doing for the world when it comes to technology and health. And even how we treat our Palestinian enemies by taking them in when they're sick. The Syrians, who are fighting, we're the ones taking them into the hospitals. Jordanians, Egyptians. We do our very best to help anyone. There's an organization called Save a Child's Heart. I believe that 90% of the people that are coming in there are from poor countries, and they're getting special help from Israel. So we know that we're doing our very best. Now, does that mean that every time we're out there, we're making the best decisions, especially in a war? No, definitely not. There's things that we can discuss, but the bottom line is we're doing our very best, and we're keeping ourselves accountable. And hence why we have all these newspapers and radio hosts and talk show hosts who talk about how Israel should conduct itself. So I'm a big believer in making that change. Raptors won, thank you. I saw that. We have Boris, we have Vadim. Hope you had a great vacation. I know you went somewhere, and congratulations on your real estate. I think it was a real estate award. You can write what really it was. Yael Becker, ShaRon Adele, famous girl from Los Angeles, a local Thornhiller. Please, guys, this is an opportunity for you guys to speak to me, ask any questions. I see where we're going with this, with the show. It should be more about having, real dialogue. Noah kept saying things from the community, especially. So what your kids could be fully Jewish, mom and dad Jewish, and being raised in the diaspora, could choose to marry out of the faith and, give on their religion. That's what I mean, right. But that happens a lot less, and we're trying to really minimize that. So we're getting back on the topic of religion and, intermarriage. Clearly Noah came on the show a few months ago to talk about her interfaith marriage. It's kind of weird to be an advocate for interfaith marriage. I think it's almost silly to me. So no, please, pardon me that I'm saying this, because what are you really advocating? Openness and all that, which I think is wonderful. I'm all about that. But we all know that we're not the popular ones, and Jews are going to be hated on. And at some point, it's going to be okay to join the other side. I mean, let's take a look at what happened in Spain, in 1492. How many people, converted and changed themselves. How many people after the Holocaust didn't want to associate themselves with the Jewish people. We even have Anthony. Anthony, one of our producers here, found out not long ago that he's Jewish, that he has Jewish heritage, and his grandmother's Jewish. And, the family probably has gone through the Holocaust. So it's kind of interesting that, if we're not doing our parts. Now, I'm not going to go to the depth of saying, religion is the key, and, we must remain Jewish and all that. But yes, I do think it's important, and I think it's very important for our community. And I'm an advocate for that. I'm an advocate for the future of our community. So, again, we don't have to agree on that, but I would love your perspective. Noah, Vivian, who's writing now? Can you tell me? Because I think I haven't seen. Okay, for some reason it said another.
It was Noah with what you say. Your kids could be fully Jewish.
Yeah. Hi, Glenn. Thanks for joining the show. So yeah, the bottom line is there are going to be many issues that we're not going to agree on, and it's totally all right. I'm not going to take anything away from you, the audience. I'm not going to try and cheat anyone. At the end of the day, I grew up a certain way, and doesn't mean I can't develop as a person. Even the person that I am today, I keep learning on a regular basis. Even being an educator, my students teach me every day. I learn from them. I learn through interaction. I see how they work, and I try to become a better person. But this is one of those topics when it comes to interfaith that I'm not a big proponent of. I'll share another short story. I was dating a girl a while back, and she wanted to go through the Reform community. And I didn't grow up Reform. I grew up Orthodox in terms of the way, when I go to a synagogue, I like the idea that I'm separated. I like the idea that I get to focus on reading. I like the idea that I get to be in my zone. And it's kind of like how I grew up, and I appreciate it. And I can see why there are people who are not fond of it. So the girl I was dating asked me if we were going to be together, whether I would join her at a Reform synagogue. And I told her I would join you for sure, because I don't really go to synagogue, but I would join you out of respect. And then she asked me if I will also take her rabbi as my rabbi. And I said, look, bottom line is, it's not for me. I'm not saying what he's doing is wrong, but I don't agree with the Reform way personally. I don't have really a problem with it. I think that, there are many people in our community that need it, and it's more for them, and I applaud you the same way that I think, it's conservative for others, and Orthodox for other ones, and Reconstructionists, whatever fits you. But if you're asking for my personal opinion, when I see a female rabbi with a kippah, on a megaphone on Shabbat and celebration, I think it's wonderful, but something there doesn't seem right to me, and I don't feel like it's really Shabbat. I just feel like it's another celebration. And I guess on Shabbat there's a different type of feeling. In 2002. I went to Israel to work for the Foreign Ministry of Israel as a kid. I did through Hasbara Fellowships. Shout out to Hasbara Fellowships. I was on the first summer trip that they had, and we were in Jerusalem for about 3 weeks. And every time I used to go to to go to Israel, I would go on Saturdays to the beach. And it was just a thing that we did with the family. I loved the beach. I grew up on the beach, so it was a great place for me to go to. And then once we were in Jerusalem, we had to spend it indoors. We had to go for lunch somewhere. And the entire time during Shabbat, I just kept thinking to myself, why am I wasting my time sitting here when I can be on the beach and having a great time? After 3 weeks, I decided to go to Tel Aviv to meet my family. And guess what we did on Shabbat? We went to the beach. And when I got to the beach, something about me, again, didn't feel right. I kind of felt like, wow, I'm on Shabbat. I'm at the beach as opposed to doing something Jewish. So there's conflict even within me. So I don't really stand here. I don't stand there. I'm not anti this or pro that. But I do have various opinions, and Judaism is one of those things that I do care about, and I try to learn on a regular basis. And again, my opinions do change from time to time. We have Viram on the show. Hi, Viram. Happy Mother's Day to your wife. We have Lisa Cohen. Hi, Lisa from Boston. Lisa, we definitely want you as a guest to come on soon. I think we'd have an amazing conversation. What this show is really about now, it's going to be two people expressing opinions, myself kind of coming in and giving my perspective on things, but I don't really want to be the opinionated person. I want to be more of the guy leading the conversations, giving a little bit of stories here and there, as I feel like I do have some value, but I'm not an expert on too many things. I'm just knowledgeable about many different things. I want people who have something to offer, people who are willing to make a change, people who are not just out there spreading useless propaganda. I'm here about, it's more about people coming out here and really making that difference. So if there's any suggestions for speakers, for how the show should run, please let me know. Let us know, myself and Anthony, who is here, how you would like to see the show progress and become our show and not just my show. So please, any opinions, any suggestions out there is welcome. Lisa, I know you have plenty of them on a regular basis, so if you have any thoughts. Lisa's one of those people that every time I bring a guest that isn't really, how do I say this, strong on their opinions, or someone who doesn't have much delivery, she sends me a regular message saying, Ron, why would you have this person on? Lisa, and I appreciate that fact. We don't always have to agree with the guests that I bring on, but I'm glad that you're tuning in and hopefully learning something from the experience. Sometimes you're learning that you should be watching Game of Thrones or the Raptor game, and as opposed to watching us, but that's totally okay. That's your freedom. But no, we're here 9 p.m. every Sunday, and today we were not supposed to have a show, but I made a boo-boo, and I decided that instead I will come out here and talk to you, our wonderful fans. We have Yossi Joe on the show right now, tuning in. Hi, Yossi. Good luck with your wedding soon. I know that Yossi's about to get married. I'm sure there's a lot going on in his life. Yossi, also another person who was helping to host the show. So again, guys, it's about you. I know we don't have too many viewers at this moment in time, but if you do have opinions, you do want to share something, you do want to express yourself, you have any suggestions, please let us know. I'm going to be on for another 10 minutes, as I think an hour of me talking is a little bit too much. So do we have anything? I don't see any other suggestions, any thoughts. If you guys want to call in, if you want to have this conversation over the phone, you can do that. My number is 647-326-9868. Again, that's 647-326-9868. You can give us a call. I'll pick it up. We'll try and have you on. I don't know how it's going to work this way, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. And that's that. So again, any questions out there, any ideas, any suggestions, please let us know. We would love to hear from you, the audience, about what kind of changes we can make. See, like I changed my earrings, put black ones. People are making comments about them all day. So I already know that maybe I either should listen to them or change the earrings. I have now the choice, but clearly people have opinions about everything these days. Natalie, thank you for joining the show. Natalie, if you have any questions, I know you tune in sometimes and you make comments. Please, if there's anything you want to suggest, I would be more than happy to listen in. Whew. Anthony, how's it going so far? Am I talking a lot?
Yes.
Yes, of course I am. There's, it's what happens. It's called dead air if I just sit here and not talk. So I'm hoping that more people can give us suggestions. Yeah, and there's nobody really talking to us. So is there someone on there who wants to say something to us? Somebody, please. Maybe talk to us about the Raptor game. What happened? Kawhi made a shot to win the game. Last I saw was 55-50 in the third quarter for Philadelphia, even though the first quarter we started off was really good. But I'm happy for Toronto that we're moving to the next round.
It was a really close game.
Clearly it was a close game, which it shouldn't have been. And the fact that it's a close game says a little bit about us, the Raptor team. Kawhi is hot, but the rest of the team is not. And, I'm not sure that he'd want to stay after this year. but that's just my opinion on this matter. I don't want to talk about sports, even though I can have an entire show based on basketball. That's it. I think we're going to say goodbye because, you know, we don't have too many people popping in, asking us questions. If you do, you have about, oh, there you go. It was tied game and Kawhi took the shot, of course, and it bounced 4 times before he went in and won the game. Well, it's Kawhi time, and that's wonderful. Again, I'm very happy for the city of Toronto for winning because we need wins. We are, I don't want to say it. We're not known for winning. I wish we were half of what Boston is, but you know, hopefully we're moving in the right direction, and it would be great to see Toronto in the finals, even though at the end of the day it is merely sports and nobody really cares. Hey, Lisa Cohen, finally. All right, so Dimitri, you have more. Okay, so 2 opponents. First has 5 minutes. Second has 5 minutes. Then they have a little discussion. Then they answer to the audience questions live. I want to do that. The only thing is we're not getting enough people out there to really interact with us, Dimitri. So if we had more interaction, we had more people liking our page. As I said, within a few weeks, we will be getting sponsors. We will have a different broadcast. We're going to be broadcasting off of YouTube, Facebook, and our website. It's going to be on thepricklypearshow.com. So hopefully we will get to that opportunity that, you know, for us to do have it, you know, with 5 minutes, 5 minutes. This show really needs, you know, more, how do I say, time appropriate for each speaker to speak, because I feel like sometimes people can overtake the conversation and, you know, lead it in a different direction, as I'm doing sometimes. As I said, I'm not a trained broadcaster, even though I have a degree in it, but it's, you know, I'm not really one of those trained journalists. It was more from behind the scenes. Here we have Dean who's joining the show right now. Hi, Dean, also one of our guests. Yeah, I mean, I'm all about it. I'm all about having those conversations and, of course, the interaction by the audience. But we do need a wider audience. So if you guys, you know, can share our posts, can like us more, can interact with us, then, you know, we will grow eventually. This show has been my baby for about 1.5 years now, but I've been thinking about putting the show together for over 6 years. We've had different co-hosts that join the show, you know, and we're always developing, we're always growing. I wish that some, you know, stayed and, you know, saw this, you know, come through, but everybody has, you know, when you don't get paid for a show, that's what ends up happening. A lot of people feel like they have other opportunities and they go for them, which I totally applaud them. You know, if I can't pay you, you know, I'm putting my blood, sweat, and tears into this. I've been paying for the studio now for about 1.5 years, paying for all the cameras, paying for all the equipment. So, you know, we need your help. So if you guys are interested in the show, you want to help us develop it, please, by all means. We have Noah again asking questions. The only way to increase the audience is by having conversations like Dimitri's suggestion. I agree. I agree that, I don't know if that's, wait, you know what, let me say that again. I don't know if I agree fully, but that's the only way. I think that is a way, and I do agree that by having some format in place, it could be a lot better, but you need to understand, this is a 2-people operation. It's myself and Anthony behind the scenes. You know, last week we didn't even have Anthony. You know, it gets to a point where it's very difficult. I work from 7 o'clock in the morning every Sunday, and I come here to do the show at night. So, you know, if we had more manpower, more money, I guarantee we'd be able to do a lot more with this. But we need your help. We need your support. I'm not asking for money. Clearly, that's not what I want you, but I want you guys to help us. Maybe bring those guests. Maybe help us produce. Maybe make this a community show. Even if you feel like I am not the perfect person for this, I'm totally all right with it. I want to hear your opinions. If you have someone else to suggest to run the show, I don't mind just producing this. But my whole idea behind the show is to, as I said, educate. And I don't like the whole foo-foo stuff where people are just yapping with no goals in place. Although some of our guests and our interactions ended up being just that, which those are my least favorite of the shows. I'm hoping that you know, in the next few years we're going to grow and we're going to become a show that really makes a difference. You know, I'm not going to say we're going to be the Joe Rogan experience. Who the hell am I? I'm nowhere near that person. I shouldn't even put myself in the same category. But we would love to have the show, you know, have a widespread all over the world where people can come in and speak their mind. Thank you, Rinat. I appreciate you loving the show. I know for those that have nothing to do and want to watch us on a Sunday, we're here every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Noah said that doesn't have to be two experts, just two people that are opinionated and are willing to put it out there. The problem is if you bring one person who has more information than the other, they can control the conversation. And the audience believes that the two people that are sitting on both sides have enough to bring to the table. And I've seen these conversations happen in the past, and I'm not fond of it because what happens is it almost sways you in one direction. I am looking for more experts. Yes, we can have different opinions. Noah, for example, you have amazing diverse opinions. Some that I completely agree with, some I completely disagree with. And, maybe you and I can have that interaction. But it would be great to have real experts. This is just my personal opinion. I think that to bring in people with a little bit of clout, people who have, who do this for a living, who go out and speak, they bring a little bit more to the table. And of course, sometimes having people like myself who are on the outskirts, who are, the little guys running around and advocating, that's also positive, but it cannot be a show based on just my opinions or my expertise. Yes, I can do more homework. Yes, of course, I can learn a little bit more, but the way I learn is by interaction. So when someone is speaking to me, I get to learn, and I get to ask those hardline questions. I think that is it. If you guys have any more questions, we're going to leave it. We have 3 more minutes, even though I said I was going to close up. So if anybody out there has any questions for me regarding the show, any suggestions, sounds like you guys are asking a debate club format. Yes, I think everybody really enjoys it, and I've been receiving a lot of messages for people who want to have a debate. I don't really want it to be so much of a debate. I think it should just be, a few opening remarks and then a conversation. So someone who will talk about why is it that they advocate for this specific side, and then we can have that conversation where maybe I become more of a mediator as opposed to having, two people battling each other, because that's not the type of show that I want to have. Again, it's not really about a battle. I'm not here to make fun of everyone. I'm not going to do any Ali G with anyone. It's really about us learning. And I got to be honest, I learned a lot by working with people who did not believe in what I believe in. If you take a look at my Facebook wall, I have people from the left and many people from the right. So diverse. Yes, there are those that are upset with me and, get rid of me. Or, I remember last year someone got really upset because I mentioned that I would rather have Trump over Bernie Sanders, and I still stand by it. Even though I'm not a Trump fan, if you gave me the options, that's my opinion on it, and I believe, I take Trump over Sanders. But that's my personal opinion, and that person decided to, no longer be friends with me, and that's his prerogative. Totally all right, but I welcome all ideas, and I don't get rid of people who don't share my opinions. The only way to grow is by hearing all sides and then coming up and making your own decisions. But you got to have all the information, and you got to ask for it. You got to do the work. You got to do the research. It can't just be that it's just about you coming out and expressing your opinions. It has to be with some facts. And if you have the facts on the table, and you can of course express a little bit of your opinions, then you have a really good case. But if it's only one-sided, then it's not good. Mayor Pete for president. Who is Mayor? Oh, you're talking about America. Right, okay, yeah. So we have, Rosita, happy Independence Day to everyone out there. Rosita, I saw some of the pictures of you partying it up with Noah. Unfortunately, I couldn't come out the other day and celebrate Israel's birthday. It was my best friend's birthday, so I think it's understandable, by the way. Happy birthday, Elan. Happy birthday, Romzi, my cousin. And of course, happy Mother's Day to all. I think this is going to conclude our show. You guys could still write us at the Prickly Pear Show at gmail.com. You can write me personally, write me a PM. You want to text me, the number is 647-326-9868. Again, 647-326-9868. I would love your opinions. I want the show to become something special, and it will be when you guys are going to be involved. So on behalf of myself, Anthony, and all those involved with the Prickly Pear Show at any point in time, thank you to you, and I look forward to seeing you next week, where we will be having an amazing guest. So stay tuned till next week. Happy Mother's Day, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.